All right, in this video, I'm gonna go over why I personally prefer to buy in the bad neighborhoods because people just seem to be allergic to them over here. So stick around to the end of this video because it may just end up saving you money. I'm that Agent Kelly. I talk about Canadian real estate in my local market of Abbotsford and the Fraser Valley. And please subscribe to my channel. Like Nike, just do it. And if you want to chat about buying or selling real estate, you can do so by scrolling down, clicking on the link I provided, book yourself right into my calendar, and also like this video, please. So first off, I'd like to say outside of, East Hastings in Vancouver, we don't really have like bad neighborhoods here. Like, we obviously have neighborhoods that are worse off than other neighborhoods, but we don't have any real bad neighborhoods like the States where, you have people making drugs in the kitchen and playing real life Call of Duty outside on the sidewalk. Here, a bad neighborhood is just an area that looks a little bit run down, maybe it's a bit older, and maybe there's like a couple homeless in the area. And if you ever listen to like American real estate investors on these podcasts, like the Bigger Pockets Real Estate Podcast, you'll notice the way that they classify neighborhoods would be like an A to a D rating. And typically, when you're buying investment property, you kind of want to be buying in that B- to B+ range, because obviously anything A grade is luxury. You typically don't want to be renting out luxury real estate because the tenant's never going to take as good of care of the home as you would. And anything in the C kind of rating is, bad tenant pool, high crime rating, and all that kind of stuff, right? And then, of course, like a C neighborhood isn't going to appreciate as well as a B neighborhood would. However, anything that we would classify as a C rating here, like us Vancouverites or Fraser Valleyans would classify as a C rating, is likely a B neighborhood anywhere in the United States. Like, I don't even know if we have any neighborhoods that would fall under a C rating. Like, we mostly have, B grade and A grade, and then East Hastings is gonna be your D grade neighborhood. But for the most part, I wouldn't even be able to think of a neighborhood that I would classify as a C rating. Maybe there's like a couple C+ rating neighborhoods, but for the most part, if we compare here to the States and what those investors are considering to be a C neighborhood, I would say that most of our neighborhoods, pretty much all of them, would be a B neighborhood in their eyes. Now, some people are going to disagree with me, but the reality is that our violent crime ratings here are extremely low in comparison to the States. Like, you're probably like 100 times more likely to get killed by being shot in the States as opposed to living here. So that being said, in my opinion, I would prefer to buy in the neighborhoods that are less desirable, and here are the reasons why. So the first reason is rent to expense ratios. So here's a perfect example right here. If I'm buying in Langley City's downtown core as opposed to Willoughby Heights, I'm literally saving $80,000 on average, or 15%. Willoughby Heights is obviously known for being like one of the most desirable areas in Langley, and Langley City is known for being kind of run down and grungy. And here's the thing, look at these charts. They are literally identical. Whether you bought in Langley City or Willoughby, the prices did the exact same thing. The only difference is that when you bought in Langley City, you put up less capital to buy that condo, meaning because they both appreciated in the same dollar value, your return on investment in Langley City was actually higher than it was in Willoughby Heights. But not only that, if you were to lend the extra $80,000 it would take to buy that condo in Willoughby Heights, it's going to cost an extra $450 a month to own that condo, and I can pretty much guarantee you that you're not getting an extra $450 a month rent for a 2-bedroom in Willoughby versus a 2-bedroom in Langley City. It might be, $200 cheaper in Langley City, but honestly, I would even doubt that. You could probably get roughly the same rent in Langley City as you would in Willoughby Heights. So your cash flow numbers are much better in the what's deemed worse off neighborhood, but not only that, you're putting down less money and therefore your ROI is higher, yet you're getting the same appreciation in both areas. And reason number 2 is the future growth potential. So I'm throwing up a chart of Vancouver condos here. So you'll notice where we're at today in terms of price, and then where we are in 2018. So if you bought a condo in Vancouver in 2018 and still own it today, you have made no money. Or even worse, if I show you Vancouver detached homes, if you bought a Vancouver detached home in 2016 and still own that same home today, you are down over 20% on that home over the last 7 years. Now, if we look at Langley detached, you're up over 50% on detached homes and a decent amount on apartments. And the reason why this is because Vancouver has remained to be Vancouver. There's not much more you can do to improve Vancouver. All the land has been built on, businesses will come and go, people will come and go, but overall, Vancouver will remain to be Vancouver for the next 50 years. You want to be buying in areas where the buyer pool has a lot of room to grow substantially. Obviously, as the buyer pool grows, that's demand increasing, and if the supply doesn't keep pace with that newfound demand, then prices are going to go up. Now, don't get me wrong, the buyer pool for Vancouver will always be increasing just because of immigration, but you want to be buying in areas where you get immigration and migration, where people are moving from competing areas into that area. Langley City is a perfect example of this. Right now, it's deemed a bad area, a less desirable area to live or invest in, but with the SkyTrain coming in 2028, you're gonna have a lot more people, thinking, well, if I go move to Langley City, the prices are cheaper and I can still commute to downtown Vancouver. That's going to increase the buyer pool for that area. Then people will look at the prices of Willoughby versus Langley City and they'll say, hey, this is 15% cheaper and I get the SkyTrain. You'll have a bunch of people leaving other areas like Coquitlam and Burnaby and stuff like that, but they still need to work downtown. Well, if you live in Langley City, walk to the SkyTrain, commute to downtown. Not only that, but I'm willing to bet with the addition of the SkyTrain, the city will start investing money in that area, which is exactly what happened in Surrey Central. 8 years ago, everyone hated Surrey Central. There was nothing there. I think they just started building those first 2 towers there. The city started pushing for growth in that area and investing a lot of their own tax dollars in that area, and now it's deemed a desirable place to invest. I wouldn't call it a desirable place to live just yet, but we know it will be a desirable place to live in the next 8 to 10 years. Port Coquitlam is another good example of this. So here's a list of bad areas that I personally like. I still personally love Surrey Central for investment going forward in the future. I think they've got a second shot of remaking downtown Vancouver, and again, there's going to be people in the comments who disagree with me, but I think they can remake Surrey in a Brentwood-esque kind of light. And obviously because Surrey has a lot more space and a lot more landmass, it could just be a Brentwood on a much bigger scale. So I think Surrey will become super futuristic and desirable to live in the next 10, 15 years. Vancouver is amazing because you get the water and the mountains and all of that stuff, but all of the services underground in Vancouver are all super old from, 50, 70, 80 years ago. And here's the thing, right? When they were building these high rises in Vancouver 15, 20, 30 years ago, they weren't building them like they're building them today. So today, the towers that they're putting up in Surrey, they have co-op working spaces, gyms, studios, hot tubs, saunas. They have, pubs and malls and bars and lounges. And, there's one tower going up in Surrey right now where they literally have an app that everyone in the building connects to this app, and it's like a Facebook marketplace just for that building. So what they're doing now with these towers is they're making it so they're not just towers. It's not just a condo to live in. It's a community. Each tower is its own community. You could pretty much do all of your day-to-day life and things and fun and whatever it is you do with your life all within the tower. They even have dog parks in these towers now. Vancouver didn't plan for that stuff 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and now there's no space left without having to tear down these towers to remake a city or community like what Surrey and Brentwood are now starting to do. So Surrey Central has a second shot at this downtown thing, and I think they're gonna do it better than Vancouver over the next 20 years. Langley City, Maple Ridge, anywhere in Abbotsford, pretty much any city in the Fraser Valley. Fraser Valley has massive potential to turn over and become more desirable areas to live over the next 20 years, and that's why I would personally pick somewhere where the prices are cheaper, the rent is roughly the same, but has much more future growth potential. And then obviously within these cities, within the Fraser Valley, you have, the more expensive areas and the cheaper, less desirable areas, but oddly enough, the cheaper, less desirable areas always seem to be located in the more densely populated parts of the city. And the more densely populated parts of town are the areas where the city is likely to invest money and start to turn over that neighborhood. And that's where I prefer to buy. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, like the video, book that call with me, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.